you're all sending emails, write a subject line that AI can help you with that actually creates high open rates. If you get open rates, they'll look at your email and there's a chance for you to generate more leads. So lead generation is a big activity for real estate agents. I think AI can help them boost their activities and get more leads from their sphere and not just paid lead generation as well. Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the podcast dedicated to real estate professionals to demystify AI and give you practical strategies that you can apply to your business today. I'm your co-host, Rajeev Sajja.
And the other co-host, Jimmy Burgess, and we are excited for you to be a part of this. If you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you go out and that you subscribe to the podcast. Also, we would really appreciate if you could leave us a review. It helps us spread the message that as a real estate community, we are stronger together. Now let's get to this episode.
What I love about this, Jimmy, is that I can't believe we got to 25.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's mid-year now, and we're excited about looking back and picking the best of the best takeaways that you and I are using AI and hearing our guest speakers and all of that. And I think we all agree that AI will, as you talk a lot about, AI will create a separation season. And we think there's going to be three types of agents that are going to emerge with AI. One is people that just know about it, don't do anything with it, which is a large chunk now, and it's early, they can embrace. Second, people that are just going to not necessarily make it skill, but just are going to use it periodically. And the third group is what I think our purpose is, to make people skilled with AI so they will actually make it a strategic part of their business going forward and can do more with less. So we are focused on making people AI skilled. So I'm going to go with my first takeaway, which for you to get skilled, I think a solid foundation is everything. And there's so many tools that come out, Jimmy. Every day there's a new tool. So you need to have a filter of how you're going to learn a new tool. Is it applicable to my business? And that's where our foundation episode of the 4 Ps, priming, prompting, polishing, and publishing, learn the basics of that and own it so you know how to apply AI the proper way. And then obviously we talk about rise, role, input, steps, and expectation in the priming concept. So having a solid AI foundation, I think, is my top takeaway, at least the first takeaway in our list here. So,
yeah, and Rajiv, I think back, when we first did that, you think that things will evolve, but in reality, that foundation, I would encourage people to go back and listen to that episode, because that foundation is still, every day as I use AI, I'm utilizing that firm foundation still to this day. I still think about it when I'm writing my prompts. I still utilize it. So I'm with you. That's probably, that's a great one to start with. The second one I did was the AI tools. You mentioned there's new ones every day, but I want to just give a couple that we kind of talked about that were just, as we begin to see some of the application of this, it's been pretty amazing just to kind of think about where we have been and where we are and where we might be headed. So a couple that really stood out to me, ManyChat, we've talked about this, is basically gives you the ability to automate some of your responses in your social media and different things that you're doing. Listen, this is one that after I learned about it through the podcast, I put it to work in my own personal Instagram, and it led to over, I've only got 7,500 or so people that are typically on my Instagram as far as that goes, 54,000 views on one that I utilize that in. So I would encourage people to check it out. That's ManyChat. Captions AI. I don't know how many people throughout utilizing the artificial intelligence of just the AI eye contact, where it can adjust your eyes, where people can read a script. How many different people send me on a weekly basis videos of themselves shooting their weekly report or a video they shot and said, can you tell? And you can't. And so it's just those types of things with the tools have been one of the best takeaways I've had is that this is something where hopefully, Rajiv, you and I are going to be looking at these, testing these. It's great to be able to talk about these, but these are ones that we use every day, or in a lot of cases at a large, in our own businesses. So that's one of my best takeaways is all the tools we're finding.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're listening to this podcast episode, our AI playbook has all of this documented, so you can kind of go back and reference it. That's also probably a subtle key takeaway, that we built a playbook along the way with all of this stuff. And so going to number 3, when taking a little step back, when the paid chat GPT came out in March of 2023, there were something called plugins, which were just a couple of thousand. And then earlier this year, plugins morphed into custom GPTs, which I think took the lid off of what you could do as an agent without having to be technical. And custom GPTs, you can start with exploring the GPTs and you need a paid subscription for ChatGPT for this. And you can explore the GPTs, but I've started to build my own, and I have agents that have reached out to me to learn how to build it. And we're going to do a whole episode probably at some point. We'll do a YouTube, video so you can walk you through how to build one. And the beauty of it is, as long as you can 4P enterprise, you can prompt properly and do all of those things, you can build your own. A good example of what I build when I use every week, Jimmy, is we do YouTube videos, as you've done for many years. And that is creation of content, but we don't do a good job of making it go viral, the best of our ability. So I built a YouTube custom GPT that I give it the topic. It gives me a subject line. I agree on the subject title, YouTube title. Then the next one is, then it agrees on the title, then it writes a relevant description. And we agree on the description, then it writes the hashtags. And all it takes me is about 5 minutes max per video. So think of, as you're looking at custom GPTs, if you're listening to this, think of things you do every week regularly and come up with a process, write it down on a sheet of paper, and go build a custom GPT, and you will use it week in, week out, and save time. And not just save time, in some cases, you'll save money.
Yeah. Listen, this is one that I can't wait for us to do that episode where you're going to just share your screen and walk through this. People can see the video. If they listen to the podcast, they can get the details, but that's coming up pretty soon. My next takeaway was, and this is something that's been fun because of the way that it's impacted a number of different agents, is having the ability to utilize ChatGPT to be able to just nail your listing presentations using artificial intelligence to prepare where it will make you stand out at the listing appointment and get those listings. We titled it, I think it was the Chick-fil-A on Sunday. If you do this, it's absolutely going to get you some closed listings. But one of the things, and just kind of going back to number 3 about the custom GPTs, this is something I would encourage people to do as well. If you've got the paid version, you want to tell them where they can find, because you created a custom GPT, and that was something we did. And then weeks later, the technology gave it to a place where we could even take this to another level. You want to mention that and tell them where they can find it?
So if you go to Explore GPTs and just search for _click listing presentation, it'll show up, or you can just search for my name, Rajeev Sajja, and all my public GPTs will show up and it'll be on the top of the list.
Yeah, it's been, that's been one of those. I mean, Rajiv, I think I've gotten 3 people this week that have reached out and said they got listings by utilizing that. So, I mean, that's pretty encouraging to see. So that's the fun part is please, everybody that's out there, if you get something valuable out of this podcast, let us know. I mean, that's the juice that kind of keeps us excited about doing this. And that's my next takeaway was number 4 was nailing those listing presentations.
Yeah, the next one would be, real estate activity has a lot to do with lead generation. You lead generate with either your sphere. A lot of people have a sphere if you've been in the business for a while, but they're not kind of learning how to lead generate and maximize their sphere, whether it's through referrals and all of that. And that's where I think AI can be a good idea tool for people to kind of generate leads. So a couple of good examples that we've sort of discovered throughout our podcast journey is writing good, engaging FOMO copy for social media, right? It's not just posting a listing, but tell a story that invites contact with you. So there's that social media. And then the other one is email marketing. You're all sending emails. Write a subject line that AI can help you with that actually creates high open rates. If you get open rates, they'll look at your email and there's a chance for you to generate more leads. So lead generation is a big activity for real estate agents pre-AI. I think AI can help them boost their activities and get more leads from their sphere and not just paid lead generation as well. So that's my takeaway number 5.
Yes, great. And when we're looking at number 6, I'm going to let you go ahead with number 6 if you don't mind, and then I'll bring us home with number 7.
Yeah, and you touched on ManyChat earlier, captions, ChatGPT, and we're used to subscriptions, Jimmy, right, in our life. With Netflix, you just get dinged now with subscriptions. So I do believe that I think we'll gravitate to a few select tools over time. Yeah, onesies, tools are going to go in and out. But AI truly levels the playing field, and only if you're skilled to know the difference between what to use and what not to use. So that a recent episode, we talked about AI being an affordable leverage. So as an example, for me, the tools I pay for today, they may change in the future. ChatGPT Pro, $20 a month. Captions on an annual basis, $65. ManyChat, You can get started free, but if you use it heavily, you can pay for that as well. And I use like an Opus Pro to clip long form to short form, right? Yeah. So I think you'll come to like 5 to 6 things that truly automate your business for under $100 a month. I think that is your affordable leverage. Now, will the tools change? Yes. But the philosophy of what you're doing, and you may be paying an intern, you may not just be doing this because you don't know how to, and it's too expensive. And I think that's where it levels the playing field. And most of the time, if I was a brand new agent, Jimmy, I can't really compete with a team leader that's investing hundreds, thousands of dollars on lead generation. But if I master AI, I can compete with them 70, 80% of the time, just being solo before I grow a team, because I've developed my skills with AI and when they haven't. And that's, I think, levels the playing field for me.
Hey, you know what's interesting too is you said $100 basically for those a month. Think about that though. You mentioned ChatGPT. I mean, ChatGPT it's an all-in-one assistant. It's a copywriter. It's marketing. It's all those things. Then you talked about ManyChat. That's having a marketing assistant that can automate your follow-up. Then you talked about Opus. That's having a video editor. We're talking about taking what would have been 3 to 4 different positions because nobody could do that one thing and do those well. And you were going to have to pay extremely high dollars to have those. And now you're talking about $100 a month, condensing that in and having all of those people. So that's pretty exciting to me is that this is the scale we're on right now. What does this look like going forward? And, speaking of going forward, that kind of brings me to number 7 is one of the things that's been my biggest takeaway from everything, Rajiv, is first off, it's been great getting to talk to as many people as we have and talk about something that's exciting and that is changing, not just our real estate business, but our lives as a whole, but some of the creative ways that people are using this out of the box, I guess you could say, ways that they're utilizing this artificial intelligence. I think back, it was one of those mind-blowing moments. We had Robert Allen on out of Atlanta, and Robert was talking about having his mentor, who was a bishop, a pastor, basically, and who had passed away. And he just asked ChatGPT, are you familiar with the writings of whatever the guy's name was? And as he did that, it came back and said yes. And as it said yes, he asked the questions and told it to ask him the questions in a way that it would be like he was, if he were that person. And he said it was like talking to the person. So what does this look like going forward, though? Because my mind was blown then. I'm like, okay, well, us doing this podcast, maybe our grandkids, through this content, through any of the other things we're doing, have the ability that artificial intelligence can understand who we are and how we talk and our, how we, the things we do. And is there not a hologram that pops up in front of them and they actually can have a conversation with us, in as much as you can with artificial intelligence, but it's like it's us. So those are some of the things that I've just watched as we've done this. I will say, here we are, basically this is our 26th episode, I guess, coming into this. I would say that I am more excited about the opportunities that artificial intelligence creates, not just for real estate agents, but for everybody when it comes to life than I ever have been. So if I had a best takeaway, it was, man, the future's bright. This is going to be an exciting time. And we are literally living in what the history books will write about right now.
100%, Jimmy. And you know what WWJD is? Your great grandkids will ask, what would Jimmy do? And AI will help answer that question, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the future with AI is so bright, we got to put on sunglasses.
Yes, I agree.
I agree. 100%. Yes. In closing, Jimmy, I was listening to a podcast. Again, we're all learning. I'm listening to stuff, to putting the real estate filter on. And the speaker said, most people think of AI as their assistant. And I think that's a good place to start. But I think if you don't move the role of your AI to a mentor, you're missing out in a big way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you sort of alluded to, out of the box thinking. You can always start and learn the potential. But if they're an assistant, they're not doing as much work. They're just doing the grunt work. And I think ChatGPT excels at that. But strategic thinking, bouncing ideas off, almost like a mentor, they can assume the role of anybody, right? Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, it doesn't matter who. Eventually, they can assume the role of Jimmy Burgess, right?
Yes.
So there's enough content out there that AI can learn from. So those are our top 7 takeaways. I think this was fun to do the first 6 months, Jimmy. And I can't wait for our future.
Yeah, we're only 25 in, and I feel like, and not only am I smarter, but if I think about that, Rajiv, that means that I've gotten to spend at least 25 hours with you. That's I feel like I'm a better person, not much less a much smarter person. So listen, if you guys got some value out of this, make sure you reach out and let us know, because that's the juice that keeps us going, gets us excited to share more and to do more research so we can bring it to you guys. If you haven't had a chance, go out there and make sure that you do subscribe to the podcast and check us out at our website. And you want to give them the website, Rajiv?
Yeah, realestateaiflash.com, and it'll be in the show notes as well.
All right, great. And guys, have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
This podcast has been produced by TSC Studios. Music is courtesy of Soundstripe. Audio and video editing is provided by Noah Escobar. Graphic design by Melinda McKnight. And special thanks to Jordan Wilson of Your Everyday AI for the inspiration and expertise.